All right, squad, we're picking up where we left off, where we had a create React app that was set up with just enough Mongo connectivity to query a table and the collection rather in Mongo. And in addition to querying it, we're able to post to that endpoint. We can post a new article, postman2 return to sender, and we get the thing back that we posted, and more importantly, when we do a refresh of this API, we see postman2 return to sender is in fact returned. What we're going to go over now is how to deploy this app with database connectivity to Heroku, and it'll be a fun ride, so let's dive right in. So we can tell that this is not got Heroku integration yet when we list remotes and we don't see Heroku there. So we can now just get going with a Heroku create. You'll have those Heroku command line tools, and ooh, this will give me a fierce Hamlet. That's nice. Okay, so let's just have that fired up in a browser. It should have nothing interesting in it yet. And then remember that we have committed our built files. Okay, so we've run an npm run build and we've committed them so that Git actually knows about them. That's going to be a prerequisite to pushing to Heroku. Now we can go over briefly the contents of our Express server file. Now aside from the usual ceremony of setting up a port and body parser and all of our dependencies, we have a couple of parts that are going to be tricky in Heroku. So for one, we're saying that if we are running with process env node env production, so by default that is on for Heroku applications but not local, then we're going to use the build folder out of client. The build folder out of client has a fav icon, and it has a folder called static that has all of our assets that are going to be served up. So Heroku will pull files from there. We got to make sure that those make it up to the server okay, and then they'll be asked for with URLs that look like this, starting with /static. So now let's do a push and then do a refresh. And there it is deployed, and we know it's ours because it has the title NYT React App. On the other hand, all is not going to be perfect because our API saved, which we have written here, we don't have the Mongo stuff set up yet, so we can't expect that to work. But in fact, we do see the built files being served from /static CSS, and so all is well there. But currently, if we ask for API saved, we're getting a request timeout. So now we've got to configure the Mongo portion of this. So the other part of the server that is a server file that's different between local mode and production mode is this part here, where we connect to a different Mongo's URL depending on whether we've been passed a process.env.mongodb URI. So locally we were using this one because locally we don't have this environment variable in our process. But we will get that environment variable in our Heroku process by putting an add-on into place. So let's go here and do Heroku add-ons, Heroku add-ons create MongoDB. And oops, I got the name of that wrong. It's actually MongoLab because we're going to be checking our data at mlab.com. So it looks like that created successfully. So if we go to our apps control panel in Heroku, we see that there is now an installed add-on where none was before. And if we click through to that, it should open up to our specific MongoLab database that was spun up for us just for this instance. We'll also see under settings, if we reveal our config vars, we are now being passed a MongoDB URI. That should mean that our file server will use that URI instead of localhost React, and then as we interact with the deployed version here at Fierce Hamlet posting to API saved, that we should be able to see collections and then documents within those collections appearing in this MLab add-on. So let's check that out. Cool, so to check that out, let's go over to Postman and let's post Postman at this database and click this a couple of times. And then let's go to our MLab and take a look if we have a collection. Boom, articles. Here they are. Postman 2 return to sender. Love it. Notice that you can actually get this data right at API saved on your deployed instance. And now we can actually talk about the sequel, Postman 3, no ellipses. Those are those 3 little dots. I think that's perfect. And then we send that and then go here and reload. And here we have now deployed our Create React app with a functioning get and post API on Heroku using the MLab MongoDB Sandbox add-on that we set up through the command line and viewed our data directly in MLab to make sure that everything worked. So that's it for this installment. I'll check you back later for the next one. See you later.